Okay, hi English students. Basically what we've got now is we've got a couple annotations, hopefully, from the selection we have read. And so you should have some things annotated, some important quotes. I want you to have put this in your notebook. So you've actually written this down in your notes. Mine's blank, but let's just say you copied that across, you have that. I want you to keep that. Now, one of the things that's going to happen in class quite a bit is you're going to be asked to respond using textual evidence. And I want to be really specific about how to do that. So for example, you come across a question like this. Here's the question that you're going to be answering. And I'm going to show you how to answer a question like this. "And the sun still rises in the same sky," Native American literature by Joseph Burkak. He draws out many of the features of Native American culture that have shaped America today. Using textual evidence from his essay, analyze the unique customs and beliefs that have helped shape America. Well, what we're going to do is use these quotes and put in paragraph form. So normally all this stuff would take place in your head and you would just write out your paragraph here using these quotes. But I want to be really specific at the beginning here as to how to do that. So what I want you to do is I want you to find this page right here. And what I'm going to do is work with you and show you how I think about actually putting together a paragraph like this. There's a bunch of blanks. I'm going to do half of it with myself, and then you're going to do the other half. So I can kind of show you how it is that I think through writing. One of the things that I want you to memorize, to put in memory, is this acronym right here. So turn to this page. This is TIQA, and I like to call it Tiqatiqas, okay? It stands for topic sentence, introduce quote, quote, analyze, transition to your next idea, make sure that you introduce another quote, quote, analyze, and summarize. Those are all the things that you're going to do to create a beautiful response paragraph using textual evidence. So that's what I'm looking for in our class. And that's what you're going to do. Let me show you how to do that. So I've got my two quotes, right? The first thing that I want to do, and by the way, go ahead and take out these two pages right now. You should have this page out, and you should have this page out. And what I want you to do is I want you to look at the question again. Okay, so we're going to start off with which people, customs, beliefs have shaped Native American life. And so in this first sentence, what we're going to do is we're going to set up a topic sentence, of course. In this topic sentence, you need to have these things. You need to have the author, the title of the work, and what the paragraph will be about. So in this first sentence, I want you to copy along with me. We're just going to fill it in. In the selection, "The sun still rises." Okay, normally it's be italicized, by Joseph Burkak. "The customs and belief have" what? "Are revealed." Okay. So what I've done is I take this part of the actual prompt. I'm going to copy it down there, but I'm going to change the words a little bit. "The customs and beliefs that have, helped shape, have helped form Native American. I know you can't see that yet. I'll let that kind of focus. Native American blank are revealed." I'm not going to use life, but what I'm going to say is society, because he's talking about how these things reveal that. And again, I've already have my two quotes. I already know that I'm going to talk about metaphor, and I'm going to talk about this idea of an endless circle. And those are the two things that have shaped Native American society. But I need to make sure that I don't just add those quotes in. I can't just go from this topic sentence to that. If I do, it's going to lose my reader. So what I want to try to do is I want you to introduce the quote. I want you to look at this for a moment. Provide some context, underline that. Who says the words? Where are they said? When are they said? Are they in response to something? In other words, before you introduce your quote, before you bring in your quote, you got to introduce it. Otherwise, the reader is very confused. You don't want to just introduce a quote or bring in a quote without introducing it. It's like being drop kicked. It hurts. Where did that come from? I don't know what's happening. Okay. So what I try to do is do that. So I'm going to introduce with a little bit of who. So I'm going to give the author again. Burkak writes about the power of Native American blank. And he's talking about a lot about literature. Remember the background of this? It's a terrible way to say literature. Remember the background, right? Literature. The background of this is that he's writing about Native American literature and the unique features that define it. So I've given a little background before I introduce the quote. So we know we're talking about literature. Now what I want to do is introduce my quote. But before I do that, okay, I want to make sure that I have a signal phrase. I want some way to start it before I introduce that quote. So in this one right here, what we're going to have a quote that supports the topic sentence. Okay. And so I've got something like this. Mr. Will notes that blank, 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 blank. You see this? These are all ways to start this sentence, and you can use one of these. This time what I'm going to do is I'm going to use he observes that, because he observes this. He observes this idea of metaphor in the culture. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this idea right here, this part of the quote. It's just a phrase, actually. I'm not going to use the whole sentence. And here's how it's going to do. How is it going to go? That these cultures show a keen awareness for the power of metaphor. All right, I know that that's hard to read. I'm going to make that a little bigger. That's just a quote. And what I did was I actually put an and right here. I'm actually going to include something else, because when I read this, I realized that it wasn't just metaphor that they were using. I actually added this in here. There's actually similes. Remember a comparison using like or as? So we've got metaphors that are being used and similes. And so what I did was I decided to use that one as well. And I put down similes drawn from nature. Okay. These people, okay, so the next thing is actually to do this after the quote. After you have the quote, here's the big part, is that you don't just go to the next quote. You need to analyze it, okay? And there's two sentences that go into analysis, okay? In your first sentence, what you're going to do is you're going to paraphrase that. You're going to paraphrase the quote, put it in other words. In your next sentence after that, what you're going to do is you're going to relate it, underline this, to the topic sentence. So you're going to look at your topic sentence and ask yourself the question, what does this have to do with the topic sentence? I'm going to have to analyze it, go deeper, apply it. You need to apply it to the situation. What difference does it make that they use metaphors? How does that show that they have transformed society or has added to a Native American society? Okay. So here's my paraphrase. These people clearly spoke of nature in figurative ways. So I have similes and I have metaphors. And so I know that both of these are parts of figurative language. And so I included that right there. So these people clearly spoke of nature in figurative ways. But that's not an analysis yet. Next, what I want to do is I say, how did this figurative language, they're talking about similes from nature and metaphor. So, they're talking about, things like animals and rain and curing the stick, and they're using enemies, and they have all these metaphors and all these ways, these word pictures that they would tell to their kids and to generations. And so I'm thinking to myself, one way that probably transformed the culture was it's likely that these word pictures were easily remembered for future generations. It's likely that they would, tell the story about whatever the bear and, how the bear, whatever the story might be, the bear, lifted up the cub or lifted up the world or whatever it is, these pictures that they have, these nature specific pictures. And so I want to talk about that. And so what I'm going to say is something like this. Here's my analysis. It is likely that these word pictures were more easily remembered. Make that a little bigger. Remembered by future generations. Now I've analyzed it. This is definitely high school, beginning college level stuff.